Welcome to RVing in New England, the nation's only forum that puts you on stage with some of the biggest names in the RV industry. And now your hosts, John DePietro and Bob Zagami.
And bingo, there we are. Gotta get that. We got to update that. I want that to be Bob Zagami and John DePietro. So welcome everybody to RVing in New England. We got a phenomenal show tonight. We got a couple of little housekeeping things that I want to do before we bring Scott on, and Uncle Bernie is waiting in the wings in his new Grand Design trailer down at Normandy Farms. But let me. Any opening remarks, John, before I jump into just a couple of announcements here?
No, go right ahead, Bob. You are dressed comfortably. I'm here with
it is
fleeces, the heater on.
It was terrible. It was another 90-degree day. It was bright sunshine, 90 degrees. It's terrible down here.
I got it.
Let's talk about this, because you're going to be not the star of the show, but I understand you're going to be down there. The big Majors RV Spring 2025 open house.
No. You're all right. I will be the star.
You will be. Oh, you will. Okay, I wasn't sure if they were paying you triple your normal.
They have me there on Thursday, May 1st, because it's Seniors Day. Seniors and vets get 15% off. But you know what? It's always a nice time. It's always fun going Majors, no matter what. It's disheartening in October because it means the season's closing up. But you know what? We're ready to go down there, and they always have so many great things on sale. And then on Friday and Saturday, you spin that wheel of savings.
The magic wheel of savings, yeah. Up
to 40% off. So you buy something that, say you go in and you buy a new, solar system that's $400, and then you buy a couple batteries, and it comes to $1,000, you get 40% off.
Yeah. All right. Another big note this week was Priority RV Network has a new logo. They have a new executive director, Nicole Shantz. And here in New England, Pete's RV has just become a Priority dealer. Longview RV, Frank Roberts down in Connecticut, and 4 campers in locations: Chichester, Kingston, Merrimack, and Raynham. And here's Nicole Shantz. They're actually right out there now at their annual meeting in Hendersonville, Nevada. And that's
wait. Why didn't they go to Las Vegas?
Well, it's probably cheaper in Hendersonville.
Yeah. Well, shouldn't they say they're out in Hendersonville and then just have the hotel shouldn't they say they're in Las Vegas?
Well, they should, because everybody else says they're in Las Vegas.
Right. Well, Hendersonville, they could be in Tennessee, just outside of Nashville, too. Yeah.
And next week is National Park Week. You can camp free on you can enter a national park or a national historical site on April 19th. It's the 19th to the 27th. And this year, tell them what they got, John.
They have all kinds of music. Yeah. Hip hop, rock and roll, rhythm and blues. And they ain't got country.
Right. There's no country music. Everything under the sun.
Who is the person that is in charge of picking the music for the park playlist? I think they should be fired.
They should. Somebody should definitely be fired. And lastly, a job posting, Man's RV is hiring, as I think most of our dealers are right now, as they get ready for the season. They're getting units dewinterized and having a ball with that. And then let me do this. Let me bring up. Oops.
Before you do that, I see. I'll forget if you go any further. I see Jim Turntine is here. Okay, and we did a feature on his place down in Florida, the Florida-Georgia line, a couple weeks ago for our other show called the Camper Report Show. Jim, I don't know if I ever sent you a copy of it, but I'm writing it down right now.
Isn't that Georgia?
Huh?
Isn't that Georgia? Just over the line?
Yeah, in Florida-Georgia line.
Yeah, okay. Wasn't that a musical group?
It was.
It was.
They broke up now.
They broke up. Right.
They broke up. So, Jim, I'll send that to you right after we're done here.
Yep. And then Bernie says hello from Normandy. We'll get him up here in a minute. In fact, we'll bring him up now because he's got a video that I'm going to show real quick here. Michelle Fontaine is there. Howdy from Comfy RV. She's down there with Bernie, and Michelle's got her mother, Terry, and Dante. He skipped town yesterday. I missed having dinner or lunch with Laurie and Dante. They're on the thing, and I missed having breakfast with Mark Lebrecht
for the fourth year.
For the fourth year in a row. Yeah, it's one of those things. But Bernie, you want to do an intro to your video?
And tell us why you're at Normandy Farms, Bernie.
Right.
Well, we'll start with John's question first. So the reason why I'm here at Normandy Farms, I really need to kind of try out the camper. I bought it last September at my local dealership, Campers Inn in Merrimack, and everything was going right. There was a little oopsie in the parking lot that took a couple of months to get parts and service coordinated to get it all put together. And so by that time, it was kind of late. So now it's time to try it out and break it in. I got a couple other big trips planned for this season, so I'm looking forward to using it, and so had to break it in.
Now,
so you're going to break it in thoroughly tonight, right?
On the door, does it have a Campers Inn RV logo and says Brand Ambassador Uncle Bernie?
Not yet, but if Larry Peter shows up, we got to bring that up while he's here.
Yeah,
but Bob, for security purposes, he might not want to put that because there'll be people knocking on the door that want to say hi to Bernie all night.
Yeah, needing autographs and
signing autographs at midnight can be a pain in the ass. Hey, Bernie, this is an excellent video, and the resolution is, I don't know if you got a new camera or not, but let's see what you got here.
Don't break your neck.
You lead. I'm good.
Hurry up now before the wind comes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, everybody, RV in New England. We're just so happy to be sharing this little video with you. We're at Normandy Farms. Today is April 16th, and it's the same day as the show. And we want to just say hi to everybody. And Normandy Farms is beautiful today. I'm here with Michelle and her mom, Terry, and my lovely wife, May. Hey.
That's good.
Yeah. So at any rate, Michelle, what do you think? I know it's a little cool today, but what do you think about this this campground?
I love Normandy Farm. It has so many different aspects. I mean, you could go look at the animals. There's just a lot to it. Well, of course, at our age, we do like the golf cart, don't we?
Yeah, I don't mind the golf cart. And if you look over my left shoulder, there's actually storage over there. So Normandy Farms, I didn't realize this, but they have winter storage for a lot of the campers. But right behind us is a baseball field. Over to my left, there's bocce and cornhole. There's all kinds of crazy stuff going on over here. And then oftentimes during the weekend, you're going to find food trucks and musicians and everything. And we did Halo's Wish here last fall, right?
Yes.
Yeah, wasn't that an amazing event?
It's hard to believe that's like a year ago. And we're both here in brand new RVs.
We're both in our brand new RV. Michelle, tell us a little bit about your camper.
Oh, I've got a Rockwood Mini Light 2109S. It's perfect, right?
It's absolutely beautiful. It has a full-time queen bed, little bit of a slide for a big sofa bed that Mom, Terry, stays on.
A couple of modifications so that we are both super comfortable traveling across the country. We'll be living in mid-May, putting on about 7,000 miles, Mom and I, and the two dogs.
And good news is the heat works, right? Because it's a little bit cold today. As you can see, Terry is all bundled up over there, and she still says, yeah, I'm getting air in my head.
92, I'm cold.
Yeah, 92, she's hanging in there with us. I just wanted to say hi to everybody, and I hope you have a great show. Scott Bahr is going to be on the show today. He is one of the members of Cairn Consulting Group, and they just released the KOA hospitality report, so camping and hospitality report. So stay tuned for that. John, Bob, everybody out there, hello, and thanks for having us on the show.
Can we go get in the hot tub now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Bernie, May looks like she's going to the Antarctica. Of the North Pole. It's April 16th.
Bernie,
it's cold.
Don't send us any videos from the hot tub. Do not send videos.
Okay, I'll kind of keep those out of there.
Please.
No problem, buddy.
Okay. Good job.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and there were really good sports too. Hanging out there in the 45 degrees and 25, 30 mile an hour winds. It was pretty interesting.
Yeah, but Michelle apparently didn't get that memo because her
Oh God.
mom has been in the hot tub. She's probably been in the hot tub all afternoon.
But that's elder abuse.
Yeah, no, once we got out of that little photo shoot, that was their next spot. So they went over there. I stayed out of the hot tub. I didn't want to get caught on camera. So,
all right, John, do a drum roll. Introduce our guest.
We have Bernie. Thank you for joining us tonight, and we have one of America's foremost. Okay, not foremost, but FORE most authorities on the industry, what's going on in the industry, what has been going on in the industry, and what is going to be going on in the industry. And without further ado, let us change cameras and bring up our friend from, are you in Maine tonight, Scott?
Yes, I am.
Scott Bahr. And Scott.
You still have snow at the house, Scott?
There's some patches out in the woods. It poured rain though and got rid of most of it.
I know that we had 9 inches here last Saturday. It was all going on Monday, but nevertheless.
So Scott is the president and founder of Cairn Consulting Group, the market research specialist. This is now the 11th year, right, Scott, that you have done the KOA, and now it doesn't say North America on it. It's the Camping and Outdoor Hospitality Report.
Yep. Right? Hey, can I say one thing before we get started here, though? I just got to get rid of some housekeeping here, and that is, I don't know if y'all were aware that on Saturday night, there was the college hockey national championship game was played.
Yes.
And my alma mater, the Western Michigan Broncos.
Don't do this to us.
Boston University.
They beat BU. Yeah.
So,
and they didn't just beat them. They whipped them. Was it 6-2 or 7-2?
6-2, yeah.
6-2.
And with that being said,
it wasn't like a late goal in overtime. They kicked our ass.
With that being said, that's about all the time we have for tonight. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you again next year when Boston College wins the NCAA Division I Hockey National Championship.
Congratulations, Scott.
Our school has never won a national championship, so
right.
It was a pretty big deal. But anyway,
Bob,
sorry.
Did it go to overtime?
Not that game.
No. Okay.
6-2 is not an overtime.
Yeah, no, I'm going to say, Bob, you said overtime, and then you said whooped them. I said, well, if they whooped them, it couldn't have been overtime.
No, I didn't say overtime.
Bernie's trying to get something taken care of, Zagami, and you still have him up on camera here.
Are you leaving, Bernie?
I don't know. Unless John's kicking me out, I'll hang around.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought Bernie had.
Keep that to yourself.
No, he dumped Michelle and Terry, and he's spending a lovely evening with me. And he's probably going to take her up to the food truck later on to get a bite to eat.
Oh, there you go.
They close at 7.
We already had turkey burgers a few minutes ago, so we're okay.
Yeah.
Terrible.
So, Scott.
No, they were good.
I've got some of the place markers in terms of the sections, and I think we were talking off camera, and John mentioned it. I thought the layout of the report this year was fantastic. You could certainly pick it up and go to any one of the sections, but what's the first thing that comes to your mind, or that you want people to know about this 11th annual report?
That he went to Western Michigan and they beat.
He didn't go to the game.
No, but he attended there.
Right. Yes.
Do you have a degree from there, or did you just go?
That has absolutely nothing to do with the 2025 Camping and Outdoor Hospitality.
Well, he led with that. That was his lead story.
Well, he wanted to get that in before we got off on all the important stuff. He was afraid he wasn't going to get it in with the three of us on there.
Yeah, it had to be first. It had to be first out of the gate.
Had to be, absolutely.
Absolutely. Be proud of your school.
And he kept it a secret too, so we didn't know. Yeah. So
So,
what do you like?
to
What
answer
do you
your
like most,
question-
or what was the big shock, Scott?
Begami, let him answer the damn question.
Okay.
Go ahead,
It's
Scott.
to me, what I thought really stood out this year was how similar many of the results were to 2019. You know, we talk a lot about a reset. This past year really looked like that reset. When you look at some of the, go through there and you'll see some of the demographics, you'll see, and we purposely pulled those out. We weren't ignoring the intervening years. We wanted people to see just how similar, again, demographically, some of these groups are. And because we had the big bubble during COVID, and now things are on the other side of that, and it's 2019 again. Only we do have more campers now than we did in 2019, but we're kind of in this very similar situation. You know, that to me is one of those things that really, it really stood out. And you know, there's obviously a lot more in there, but I think from a kind of an overall perspective, and when you think about the state of the industry, where we're at, where we're going, it's good to have that kind of as the foundation, and to think about where we were in 2019 before the pandemic hit.
Yeah,
Well,
Scott, in the great minds think alike category, as I was perusing it, I noticed the pie charts and the bar graphs, et cetera, et cetera. They all had like a, we're back to the future kind of thing. We're back to 2019. And I'm sure you'd agree, because the studies show from 20 to 23 that, during those COVID years, those were artificial numbers. Those weren't real numbers, because, the way that whole thing came about, you went from 2019 to 2023. And I said to Bob, I said to all the manufacturers, I said, you go from 300,000 units to 600,000 units. I said, that's great this year, but in 3 or 4 years, when you have to look at that as your baseline, you're going to look like you're down. The reality is we're down in numbers, but percentage, we've brought new people into the fold. Does that seem to be the case?
Absolutely.
There you go.
The overall participation is up. Compared to 2019, we're, as an industry, I think we're on pretty solid footing overall. I mean, obviously there's some issues right now bubbling up. We won't get into that. We could spend the whole show talking about that. But
we don't have enough time, Scott.
No, we don't. So, but overall, it's I think we're positioned pretty well. I think that you're absolutely right about COVID. The example I kind of give is, COVID was kind of like a flash flood or a fire that came through, and it scoured everything out. And now we're back to the start. A lot of those people who camped and RV'd during COVID, those weren't people who were going to stick around anyway. They didn't start because they liked the outdoors or that they were into the RVing lifestyle.
It was the last resort,
because it was all they could do.
And it's the only way out. So
they have left us, and some of them stayed. A decent number stayed, but it had that effect. In fact, I recently did an analysis. I did the graphic where I showed that honestly, COVID was worse for RV sales in the long run. Like right now, based on where RV sales were trending prior to COVID, we'd be ahead of where current rates of ownership.
Say that one more time, slower.
So RV ownership was trending upward consistently prior to the pandemic.
Okay, so 2019.
Yeah, in the neighborhood of 5 to 7%, I think.
Okay,
about right.
Yep.
And then COVID came and it went through the roof.
Yep.
And then things bottomed out after that. And had it not, my estimation was, and I did, I developed this model that did the prediction that we'd be ahead in RV sales right now had COVID never happened.
I like your analysis.
Yep.
because
I have the graphic for that. I can share that with you after the show.
So Scott, let me ask you a quick question here. Based on that comment that you made that things are looking a lot like 2019, are you talking about the demographic mix? Are there more baby boomers and X Gen starting to rebalance again? Because I know the millennials and such were kind of taking over a bit during COVID times, right? So tell me a little bit about that mix and how it's changed back to 19.
It is. The boomers have come back quite a bit the last couple of years. It's an interesting generation. It was a very outdoorsy generation in their youth. I mean, they popularized backpacking. So they seem to be coming back into the fold. The Gen Zers are, millennials are still doing, they're still participating at a pretty high rate. Gen Zers are they're starting to arrive. They're not as into it as we would like. But it's, and one thing to keep in mind, and the graphic is in the report and you can see it because I thought it was really interesting. We talk about generations an awful lot, but the percentage of participants in camping this past year the percentage under the age of 30 is nearly identical to what it was in 2019.
Oh, wow.
Hey, Scott, define the Gen Zers, the age, the start and end age of that category, because
they're 18 to 24.
Okay.
Well,
So I'm glad you said that.
That's the adult group of Gen Zers.
There is a stat that's in here where it says the boomers are looking for accessibility, meaning can you get around, right?
No,
that type thing. I forget.
That's what the handicap. I think.
Yeah.
We should probably let Scott answer it, seeing that we didn't do the research. I read that as disabilities, handicaps, and still being able to enjoy the outdoors.
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
And it said the Gen Zers are looking for comfort and convenience.
Yes.
Now, where do the off-roaders, the overlanders, come in to that group? Are they older than them? Because I've always thought that the young people are not. They're looking to raise hell. They're not necessarily looking for a hot tub.
We think too much alike, and that was the thing that I noticed, that there really wasn't a lot in there about overlanders, and that's not critical. I'm just curious because it's coming on really strong. I mean, their shows are drawing more than any RV show in the country, just about. So there's that whole segment that, we're finally getting it into the RV industry. For years, they didn't want to be in the RV industry. So take a side road, Scott, and talk about overlanders.
I'd love to talk about overlanding. Just so you know, I'll be speaking at the Overland Expo in Flagstaff next month. So I'm in process of doing 2 studies for them on overlanding participation and what's going on with that. So
are you going to stop in Western Michigan on your way to Flagstaff?
I might have to.
Okay, good.
Pick up my hat, cap, and T-shirt.
To buy your T-shirt that says National
T-shirt. Get inducted into the High School Hall of Fame. Absolutely.
Okay, go ahead.
So it's overlanding tends to index slightly older, because the overlanders are gearheads. It's all about the gear. It's all about whether it's the off-road vehicle, but everything they have, all the amenities. You have to have like a portable traveling bar with you, and an ice maker and everything. So, but they over-index a little bit more in income as well. So, what you have there is the Gen Zers aren't coming out in numbers to do overlanding right now. It's part of that is it's comfort and convenience. That is part of it. They don't want to own the gear. They don't want to have all that stuff. So they tend to they have interest there's a difference between interest and actual behavior. They have interest in overlanding, and they have a lot of interest in backpacking too. They just haven't really pulled the trigger and done it yet.
Hey, Scott, the other question that I had here, you seem to, in one of the pages in the up front, it says, define the difference between RV owners and campers.
In terms of how
genters.
There's really two ways to look at RVing. One is an actual RV owner, someone who owns an RV and uses it. And in our research, what we do is we capture the people who actually use their RVs if they're an owner, but also people who use RVs as their primary accommodation for their trips, but may not necessarily own it. So say they might take a 2-week trip and rent one or borrow one or so on. So you'll see some of the numbers a little bit higher because it's RV usage, it's primary RV usage versus actual ownership.
Yeah, and I think it's very important to note that this year 11 million more households. You talk about that 19 to 24 thing. 11 million more, not 11 million total, but 11 million more households will be camping in 2024. We're camping in 24 than in 2019. I think that's an amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, because
some people, that's households, which is what, 3.3 people?
Yeah, that's about right.
But there's other areas where you talk about 1 million more people camping in next year and in this year, 2025. So where is the clarification of the 1 million and the 11 million?
Well, the 11 million was comparing 2019 to 2024. The additional 1 million is what we project for 2025.
24 to 25.
Yeah.
So 11 was
actually, Scott, that you put that very clearly. It's Zagami that
I didn't
figure out what it meant.
Right. It was me. I missed the bus on that one. Back to overlanding for a minute. Bernie, you told me a story last week that one of you.
Yeah. I posted this video on the Storyteller Hilt, and that's quite an amazing vehicle. That's a true overland vehicle, but that leads right to some of the comments that Jason Cole has made about Gen Zs and the finances and stuff like that. Those vehicles are not inexpensive. That Storyteller was 500 G's, and there's no discounting on that. The MSRP is the price that you pay from Storyteller. So, not every 19 to 24-year-old is going to be ready to write a check for, or take a loan out for that kind of money.
But this is one of the things that I find amazing about the transition of our industry. When you go to an Overland East or an Overland West or the Adventure Expo, which is kind of like, I call it the minor leagues, but the guy gets pissed at me when I talk about it that way. But it's not Overland East and Overland West. But even there, it's not unusual to see a half a dozen or a dozen $250,000 Class B motorhomes.
Yeah, it's there's a big kind of disparity there between the folks. I think some of those folks are the ones who started during COVID. They were higher income, and they bought a lot of these really nice rigs and still have them.
Yeah.
The younger folks can't. It's kind of out of reach for them right now. That kind. So where the drop off is that it's a generation that wants to travel in comfort and have convenience. So, but they can't buy the RV that gives them that at the level they want. So what happens is we end up losing a lot of these people to like Airbnbs or hotels, motels. That they stay there for the comfort and convenience, even though it's typically more expensive, an overnight stay, or they're day tripping. We're seeing a little bit of that going on as well. So I call it the 3 C's: comfort, convenience, and cost. And that's what's pushing that generation a lot.
Well, there is a company up in Concord, Mass, Walden Vans, and they rent a high-end I'd call it an overlander, and they get incredible rates, and they'll rent them for a week. And
Mhm.
so a lot of these people, you mentioned rentals a couple of times in the report. They'll spend $2,000-3,000 a week to have an overland vehicle and rent it and go off someplace. That's the rental customer who,
Yep.
at some point when they make more money, they become a regular RVer or an
Mhm.
overlander. They'll spend the $500,000.
Yeah. Hey, Bob, as Scott answers that question, why don't we take a look over at our audience? We've got a
where
lot
do
of
you wanna
comments here. Some good people. Once you go to 720, Jason Cole says, hello all. Hello all, Jason. We haven't seen you in a while. Thank Jason for the snow travel report. He said last Saturday that travel on 146 was extremely dangerous with an overturned tractor trailer.
He's actually got a question. Are Gen Z trending to be doing off-grid style camping? I don't know. I'll leave it up to the guy that did the report.
They overall they would like to, but it's a truly, and I hope what I say doesn't, people don't get offended by anything. And I guess they can contact me. But it's a generation that has some issues being social, and camping is social. They're not. We see it over and over in our research that, for example, we did a poll about people traveling and how they were going to travel, how they were going to get there. They wanted to travel solo to get there, but then maybe hang out with their friends once they got there. You know what I mean? It's like we see one of the greatest barriers among Gen Z to camping again is their peer group. They don't like the people they're around. So you have that as a factor. So I'm getting to this off-grid thing. So in general, then what you have is a dynamic where for off-grid camping, a lot of people want to have other people around for support. It's not the kind of thing a lot of people do solo, but they don't really like that. And the other thing with doing off-grid is you have to have the knowledge base and you have to have the gear. The knowledge base is where they really lack. It's a group that has a hard time building the campfire, and cooking over a fire and doing the basics that we associate with camping, because a lot of them didn't have those experiences. And I say it, I'm not saying that to be demeaning or anything. It's the reality, and there's a lot that we could do with that group, I think, to bring them on board. And Jason, to finally answer your question, I think that with a little prodding, a little information, and a little bit of education, it is a generation that would take to off-grid camping.
All right, but to that point, Scott, it's not a camping problem, I don't think. It's a societal problem. They've been glued to the devices. They don't go out and play in the woods with the kids. They don't go out and fix cars. So how do we as an industry overcome it, or do we just accept it and then market our products accordingly?
I think what I've talked a lot about is I feel like it's a generation that needs a lot of mentorship.
Yeah.
I feel like that would go a long way, because I actually said this at the RVIA board meeting last month, that the fact is, if someone doesn't know how to do these things, if they don't know how to park their RV or drive an RV, it's very intimidating for them. They're not going to do it. They're going to avoid it because it's embarrassing. They feel embarrassed. And it's like, so you give them the knowledge, you give them the experience, you take them out there. Like everybody knows, you go camping, you go RV, and you fall in love with it. Why is that? It's all the reasons we all have, the emotional connections to it. But they haven't got there yet. They haven't had that. So that to me is the opportunity. Yeah, part of it is the marketing. I mean, when you look at, again, many years ago, young people, the under 30 people, 70% of them were in tents. Now that percentage is like 52.
Yeah,
it's so they're doing different things. The desire's there, but
they kind of jumped over a lot of the traditional stuff and jumped right into glamping. To talk about that a little bit.
That's the introduction to camping is in many cases through glamping. that used to never be the case. It was always, the tent, sleep on the ground, and
Yep.
you find your way and you build from there. But now they're starting off in these luxury accommodations, and it's all of a sudden, and so anyway, they don't learn those skills. That's part of the problem. And that's why I said this to a group of glampers recently, glamping operators, that the best thing they could do is teach the people who show up how to, like, there's a guy that lives close by, and he's doing outdoor cooking demos with his guests when they come and stay in his yurts, and teaching them how to build a fire, and then he takes them fly fishing. So yeah, those are the things. Those are opportunities too, because the people have the desire, and they want to do these things, and I feel like we just got to figure out how to get them out there and experiencing it.
Scott, there were two other parts in the report that I thought were very interesting. I wanted to bring them up, and one of them, you talk about being non-social. One of the thing about camping with pets, I don't know if you've got that headline up there, Bob, but it said 53% of the people camp with dogs. Okay, where only 13% of the people camp with siblings, and only 10% of the people camp with their parents. Which, whether you add in there, people like their dogs better than their siblings or the parents, but certainly dogs are there. And the other thing, maybe you can throw them in at the same time, is the number of solo travelers. This past trip to Florida for the months of February and March, we bumped into more solo travelers than I've seen in a long time. Some were car campers.
Yep.
And some had good size RVs because they were widows or divorcees. But those are my only other questions, and then we can.
I picked out those two. I didn't bring the slide up on that because I wanted to keep on the kind of the title slides. But I picked up on both that pets numbers just continues to rise amazingly. But I was really intrigued with the statistics on the solo campers in all categories.
Yeah. I think that the rise of the solo traveler, I mean, it coincides with the rise of car camping, as you just mentioned. It's like, that's the car camping is very attractive to the solo traveler. So is RVing. I mean, one of the things we know about those car campers is RVs are their aspiration. It's like they want, part of it is it's less expensive. They feel safe. They're more flexible. And again, they may not know a lot about RVing and what they could get into. But, right now it's a group that should be nurtured. And I tell this to campground owners all the time. I speak in front of campground owners all the time. And I tell them I know a lot of people don't like them on their campgrounds, but they should really think about their the policy and how they can maybe embrace these people. Because honestly, if someone's going to pay $20-$30 for a campsite, like that's not a homeless person showing up. That's a person who is looking for a nice place to stay for the night. Yeah. So it's pets over people. So yeah, the car camper, I feel like there's something there. I don't know the solution. I'm not a campground owner, so I'm not judging anyone. I'm just saying that it's something that's there, and there's an opportunity for the industry to nurture those folks.
Yeah, those are cool. But statistics, I mean, I'm not a big stat guy, but looking at these stats, because we're campers, you see that they're right on. The other thing that we saw this year was bike campers. That this one, there was two young guys that were, I think, 27, 28 years old that were biking from what do you call that place way down south there?
Key West.
Key West up to the mountains of North Carolina, and they were taking like 3 weeks to do it. But they stayed at a campground with us in these tents, and it was cold as hell that night. But they're young and they can do it, but they were on bikes and they were facing 30, 40 mile an hour headwinds. Put it this way, the diversity in camping I don't think it's ever been bigger.
Just go back one. I just pulled that other one up on solo. This one really amazed me, Scott. I mean, those numbers are staggering. I never would have thought they were that high on the solo camper.
Well,
It's
see, the younger women are doing what we've seen, Scott, and then I'll shut up because I said that before. But
you said that you shut up before?
Yeah, what I saw on the street. Like at the Hershey show, there were a lot of younger women, 35 to 40, that own Class Bs or Class Cs that travel. They're either divorced or never married or whatever the case. We saw two women in particular at the same campground in Flagler Beach. We were camping right on the ocean. And one was a widow who said she stayed in the house. She stayed in the house for a year after her husband passed. And then somebody invited her to go camping. She said, I fell in love with campers. So she said, I want to buy an RV. I just haven't done it yet. But she's been going and, I mean, sleeping in a car, but she has a tent with her, but she puts all her stuff in the tent.
Right. They do that because the campground owners will think that she's sleeping in the tent.
Right.
That's
right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's a decoy.
Yeah. Bernie, jump in there.
Yeah, sure.
What are you seeing on the
What are you seeing in the
side?
store? Walking into the store.
I'm just wondering because
Solo
here at
people, wait, I'm not done yet.
go ahead.
Solo people, pets. What are you seeing in the showroom?
Yeah, so that's relatively rare. We do see a lot of couples that don't have any children with pets. That's quite popular, but very rarely. But we don't sell Class Bs at the store where I work most of the time, right? So I'm sure if you went to Kingston, who is almost 50% of their inventory is Class B motorhomes, you might see that a lot more often. But, I'm just wondering, Scott, the question came to my mind is that do these solo campers mostly go to state parks or off the grid camping more so than these family camping grounds where I am right now? Because where I am right now, I would say 65 to 70% of the people have children with them, which kind of surprises me in April, but I guess it's a vacation maybe in Massachusetts. I'm wondering are these solo campers more off-gridding or state parks, national parks, and things of that nature?
They do tend to look for those places. One, it saves money a little bit. Also, they try to find places where they feel safer at as well. That's a big driver of this group of folks, and they're not really that off grid. Just if they're in their vehicle, a lot of them don't have all that's necessary, and so a lot of times they want to stay at the campground because of the facilities, hot showers and be able to clean up and so on. But that's one of the big factors for that, and a lot of them are trying to save some money. But safety security is a big driver of their behavior overall. I see Diane's been making some comments about this in her observations too.
Yeah.
Yep. Bob, let's go.
Yeah, I put Diane's comments up there. They seem to be pretty relevant.
Diane says, your research is incredible, Scott. You are a very smart woman, Diane. He is incredible.
And handsome.
Wait a minute.
Bernie, she's supposed to say that, not you.
That's for me and John. Don't do that. So where do we want to go up to?
Go down the one right after Dante's comment.
Give me times, Bernie.
I don't have the time here. I can't see it.
Oh,
okay.
7:43.
I wish more people would see renting their go to 7:32, Bob.
Coming up from Diane.
No, all the way to the end. Down there.
Wait,
Second
wait.
to the last comment.
Who do you
Oh, third
want
to the
at
last.
32, John? Diane
Yeah, there we go.
would see renting their RV coach out as. Oh, so you're talking about peer-to-peer networks, but you had a number in there that 39% of the people would consider camping. Scott, was that the number?
We consider renting. Yeah. I think that's around that. That sounds about right.
Right.
Well, Diane's right. I mean, I say this to our dealers all the time that they ought to look at that as a way of getting people into the RV industry, because they can, if they're smart and they don't go buy a luxury thing, but they buy something utilitarian that they can put into a peer-to-peer network, they can pay their loan payment every month with 1 or 2 weeks of renting.
Right. As an RV owner, I would never. No,
I wouldn't do it either. You know?
Walter Swenson found that out, and I would say even let's just take a little poll right here. All the people in this group that are here right now that own an RV, would you rent yours out? And
I think the answer say no. I don't know, Scott. What do you did you touch upon the peer-to-peer is who does it and who doesn't do it? I mean, I would never do it. I'd let the thing rot in the backyard before I rented it out. But how did it come up in the study?
We didn't ask this year what RV owners, how many are actually doing it. We did in the past. And it was, I'd say, as I recall, maybe around 25% of RV owners either did or would consider it. So it's I mean, there's a group of people who do it. There are people who buy an RV, and that is they don't use it themselves. They just rent it out. So I think there's a difference there too between that person who if you're an active user and you use it a lot, you're probably not going to want to rent it out. And I think that's what happens. But it's the more casual user, or again, some people buy them and don't use them at all themselves.
Yeah, the learning curve is too much on these about
and
learn how to use it properly. And if somebody's going to rent it for a week, they're not going to put the same care into it that they would as if it was their own.
You can't comprehend everything they're saying. I mean, we have dealers that can't do a PDI on somebody that spends $100,000 to train in the right way on every switch. So to try to do it for a coach that you're renting for a week somewhere and try to learn everything about it, especially, when the numbers show that there's so many people that want to rent, but they don't have the experience, the education. We'll go back to that note I just took off, but that note about
before you do that, I don't think we have done our work and let our audience know where they can pick up a copy of the report. Do you have that graphic?
I didn't. I put the name of the report up. I didn't put the URL yet. Let me. I think I have it right up here. I will keep talking, John.
Available to the public, right, Scott? At no cost.
No cost. It's free.
Yeah. Oh, free of charge. Yeah.
It's funded by KOA. Sponsored by KOA.
is the generous sponsor of it.
But the beauty of this whole thing is this.
I'll tell you what. If you go to KOA Press Room.
I'm not sure if Press Room exists anymore, but maybe they resurrected it.
KOApressroom.com. It's on there. I saw it a little.
Is it? Okay, cool. Good.
Yeah. 25 is on there. Scott
for
said,
a while I thought that it had gone away, but
no. Diane says when she was on the show last, meaning this great show that we provide to the RV industry every week, we talked about how desperate people are for camping colleges and education. How can we get manufacturers to buy into these hands-on opportunities? I think it's one of the weakest links in the industry.
Yeah, that's a great point.
I would agree. Several years ago, I did some focus groups for KOA at the Lazy Days down in Tucson, and we just talked about RV and snowbirding quite a bit. And I remember when the topic of education and how to learn to drive and park an RV came up, because at Lazy Days at the time, that I don't know if they still do or not, but they offered, these learn how to drive your RV and whatever.
Yeah, there's driving schools. I don't
Yeah.
know.
And everybody there pretty much
Yep.
had taken the class, and even the people who were highly experienced. So they took it like a couple guys said they wanted their wife to learn how to drive in case that something happened with them, and they said I took the class too and I learned stuff I didn't know.
Yep.
So they all loved it to a person. Not one person said they didn't think it was worth their time. So anyway, the idea of the education, and I love Diane's idea, the camping colleges or whatever to get
the girl campers do the camping college. We work in New England, and they take a Saturday morning, say from 9 to 12, bring people in. They do seminars. They show them how to hitch up the unit, how to empty the holding tanks, and they're very popular. I don't understand why more dealers do not hook up with girl campers. I mean, it's a great opportunity for them to bring people into the dealership. But I also don't understand why more dealers don't offer a driving course. We got 1 million people out there, more than 1 million people, who are experienced RVers, who have been full-timers. Maybe they're off the road, that dealerships could hire as part-time instructors on a appointment basis. You let the customer make an appointment with them to come in and do a driving training class.
That's a good point, Bob.
We have some very interesting answers. If you go to 749, we can go down quickly. Start with Bernie.
Where are we going? Bernie?
749 to Bernie.
I don't see Bernie at 749.
I'm looking right at him.
Who's
well, I'll read them all. Okay.
What, this? Not that one.
Yeah, that was the question was, would you rent out your RV? Bernie says no. Dante says no way, rent mine out. Jason Cole says I wouldn't rent my rig. Brian Nystrom, maybe to a friend I trust. Okay. And by the way, I found out more about Brian Nystrom. He was on the show a couple weeks ago. He is, and then I saw him that he has the same viewer Navion that we have. And I asked a question about changing batteries from, the old lead batteries to the lithium batteries, and he gave me a master's degree answer in that. Don and Pat Hawes say no. Charles Butler, why would I let another man pee on my bathroom floor? Diane says she had a great experience at Normandy Farms. I can't figure out. I rented my RV at Normandy Farms and it was great, but we set it up for renters. I don't know. Did she own it and was renting it out to somebody else? I don't know what she meant.
Yeah, that's what she was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds like it.
Jason Cole says, I enjoy camping because I know who slept in my bed the night before. Chuck Lundberg says, most of the folks we rented our camper to were camping in a trailer for the first time. We don't rent out the campers that we use for our camping use. We use our second camper.
Right. Chuck had a second camper, and he still got out of the business of doing it. He had a second camper.
I still don't want a stranger in our bed.
Doesn't want to do it.
Jason wrote something here. I can't figure out what was at 750. What is that? What is that? OBJ. Other, I have no clue. Jason, you got to come down to our level, Pass.
It must be some sort of millennial code.
Wait, Jason is not millennial. Let me tell you.
I know, but that's...
All right, Dante says, I spent 2 years learning from your show and went to 1 week RVTI and still learning. I think he meant learning.
About the RV.
Yeah, to do that. To Diane, that's what, Diane, I forget what I say after I say it. What's an awesome idea. She must mean getting your customers who want to pick up a few extra bucks to come in and do a nice teacher driving lesson, how to park a fifth wheel, how to park a motorhome. I think that's what Diane is saying there.
Brian, you are not in trouble.
Nope.
by any
No,
means.
if you provide information, Brian, you are not in trouble.
I think he lives in Nashua, Bernie, if I recall correctly.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Well,
I'll have to
should
bump
go
into him
down-
sometime.
Yeah, you should go down and have a cup of coffee with Uncle Bernie, the brand new brand ambassador for
Journey.
Cairn
But
Consulting.
Jason, we're saying you left a code at 750.
Yeah, Jason,
Can't
this
figure out what the heck
crazy,
it means.
this crazy thing right here,
Yeah.
Jason. Can you interpret it for us?
OBJ.
OBJ.
I think he was trying to put in an object.
Any ideas?
Yeah, maybe it's something he shouldn't have put there and it got automatically eliminated. I don't know.
I have no idea what
Scott,
that. What
It's
that
your
means.
show. We've only got a couple minutes left. What were you most surprised with in this report?
I don't know what it is because
I think at the time of the survey, I would say that I was most surprised at the tone of general optimism that I saw that seemed to be on the rebound from the last couple of years, where we were kind of, it seemed like people were getting down a little bit. It had a much more optimistic tone, and I feel like we still have the opportunity there. I think we need to get past this rough spot in the road, but I'm saying that later in the summer, next fall, I think are going to be pretty good seasons for us overall. But yeah, that was the thing I think that I really noticed, that the desire is there. The people want to get out. I feel like in RVing, we have some challenges though. I still feel like those challenges are there, and that's an entire other show that we could talk about, and I can share some of the stuff that we've gone through.
Physical challenge with the product, or
I think it's products meeting consumers and getting the word out. And marketing, I think, is something that we could talk about a bit. But when you have RVing does 2 of the 3 C's pretty easily: comfort and convenience, because people want flexibility in how they travel. You have comfort. It's traveling, glamping, but the difference is you have logistics and cost. And so I think those things that dovetails with our conversation about education and figuring out how to get people in these units. I think once they do, it satisfies that desire of how they want to travel. You have flexibility, again, convenience. Everything's with you, and the comfort. You can be as comfortable as you want. Anyway, I know that we're kind of at the end, but I think those are some of the challenges that we see for the industry, and I think there's definitely some workarounds. It just the industry needs to everybody needs to get on the same page with this.
Yep.
Well, I think we're going to bring you back, Scott, because we didn't
not wait another year.
We didn't even touch outdoor hospitality and glamping and the overlanding to the levels that I think we would want, and we didn't even discuss Canadians, which John and I discussed on our Camping Report show this week, and that's a very fluid situation that could
that's a major topic.
Change the data that you had 2 months ago with what's going on with the terrorists. So there are a lot of things. So we're gonna have to bring you back.
All right, that's all right. Just let me know.
All there is to it.
Thanks for having me, boys. Appreciate it.
Everybody, take advantage. Pick up this report. You will be. Once you start reading it, it will take you an hour to stop reading it, because it is just so filled. And the fact that we're all campers that are looking at this, you can say, well, you know what? I think that way, or I think totally the opposite that way.
Yeah, I think, I've read every one of the 11. This is the 11th. I think it's by far one of the best, but I think it's a good indication, Scott, of how dramatic the industry is changing and how much you are staying in tune with it. I say this every year, and I know it's a broken record. Every sales rep in this country that sells RVs,
devour that book.
Have that on their nightstand and read it every night. Every campground in this industry, every glamping facility that caters to RVers should be reading that report. If I own a company, you are reading it, or you're out of here. One or the other.
Good point, Bob. It's
We'll
a
see.
really important document.
Yep. Just
And one thing I always tell people is if you have questions, please reach out. I love talking to people about this. We can talk if you have anything you want to know. Reach out. I enjoy talking to people and talking about.
Tell us your email address that Bob can maybe punch that up right now. There might for those that are still watching.
Okay,
Scott
you can do the easy way. Just do Scott at Cairn Consulting Group. Sorry, it's so long.
CAIRN.
Yep. Consultinggroup.com.
And Scott will answer back to you. He's up in northern Maine. He's got nothing to do for at least 3 weeks till the snow melts.
Yeah, he's still got to do Scott at Cairn Consulting Group.com.
Yep, perfect.
So you got it. So he loves to talk about this business, as you can see, and you know, he gets special credit. I mean, he had to go against John and Bob and Bernie and try to get a couple of words in there. So, Scott, always a pleasure. Thank you very much for joining us, and
the best.
I'll get up there for a lobster roll this summer.
Please do.
You and I will have lunch, and we might invite John. We might. I don't know, but
I want to go.
Bernie, I don't know. You're doing well, Bernie, but I don't know if you come up to that level yet.
Okay.
I'll have to.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I'll have to see.
Brian Nystrom, thanks so much. And Brian, if you need anything in the industry, call Bernie at Campers Inn just up the street in Merrimack.
Yeah, you and Brian.
You can find me on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
You should definitely get together. All right.
Good night, everyone.
Safe. We'll see you down the road. We'll see you next week. Scott
Take
Parris,
care.
thank you very much for
Have a
joining
great
us.
day.
It was a pleasure. Take care, guys. Okay, bye-bye.
This edition of RVing in New England was a presentation of the New England RV Dealers Association. Thanks for watching, and be sure to like us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram.